So this is a product unboxing video for alphabets and numbers. First we are going to take alphabets. So our alphabet set, the first two books, it's a total of 16 workbooks. The first two workbooks are for doodling. So 3 to 11 is for tracing and some activities like coloring, etc. for alphabets A to Z, and we have two coloring books for alphabets, which we are going to explain a little bit later. We have two books for stickering, and we have a sticker book. So we are going to explain all of this in this video. So in the first book we try and explain how to hold the pencil, and then we have larger strokes, larger doodles, and after that we cover all kinds of, let's say, slants, vertical lines, curved lines, etc. Everything that the kid requires to practice writing letters. The second book is the same, and we have used a lot of characters and pictures so that the children don't have any problem, let's say, having fun with the exercises. The alphabets books basically starts with very large size tracings, and we have ordered the strokes so that it is easier to teach, as well as easier for parents to guide, as well as easy for children to understand, for, let's say, for this book as well as for the subsequent workbooks. The tracing exercises basically continue. We have ultimately gone to the size in which the English four-liners are sized. So we have alphabet practice in that size eventually. One book basically covers three alphabets. As we go along, we have revisions practiced in. So for example, let's say in the third book we have some revisions for A and E. So similarly, let's say the revision increases as we go along. So this goes on till book 11, and then we have coloring books, essentially associative, A for apple, and we have a lot of coloring exercises here. So this is essentially two books. As we go into the second book, we also try and cover the nursery syllabus in terms of activities. So we don't have too much theory here. We just have more activities, but based on the nursery syllabus. For example, we have shapes, colors, we have, coloring for the family, home, school, and then we are coming to the stickering activity book, and here also we have included some activity for the nursery syllabus. So as we go along, this is basically again, let's say G for grapes, etc., and then they have to find the sticker in the sticker book, which is the last book, and sticker it. But towards the end of this, we also have some things like signals and means of transport. This is actually a part of the nursery syllabus. And then here again, let's say, we have book 15, though it is a stickering book, it is more of, let's say, nursery syllabus, where we have covered fruits and vegetables, domestic wild animals, school, seasons, means of transport, etc., all in terms of either stickering or coloring. It's a combination of both. Heavier, lighter, parts of a face, living, non-living things, seasons, body parts, etc. The last book is a sticker book. It merely serves to, let's say, be a collection of stickers from where the children take out the stickers and stick it in the 2 books that we have given for stickering. 4 books out of these are either coloring or stickering, so they are black and white. Rest of all the books are essentially color books. We have used a lot of characters, etc., and this is basically the complete book set for alphabets. Then we have numbers. The numbers book is a set of 10 workbooks. Now each workbook is dedicated to one number. So let's say we have one book for 1, 2, 3, so we go all the way to 10. So we'll just pick up one book and try and explain how we have covered the entire set, and most of the books are similar. So we have covered essentially, let's say, the tracing of the number 8 in large sizes, and then eventually, let's say, we go on to, let's say, smaller sizes, the size of the grid that we have for the maths book, an average maths book. So this is basically, let's say, in smaller size. We have all kinds of activity, but we have also attempted to cover how we denote that number in terms of finger signs and groups. So this is essentially a coloring exercise. These are basically tracing exercises in larger size. We have number recognition exercises. Tracing continues on the left and becomes smaller as we go forward, as the motor skills basically increases. Here we basically have the student count and draw and color these items, and we have matched the following exercises, and the tracing becomes less of, let's say, coloring and more of a little more complicated. And here we have a hidden object exercise, where basically it's a stamping kind of exercise, where these rectangles are the smaller rectangles. The children are supposed to stamp the number 8. So this is the book for 8. So all the 8s, once you stamp it out, a secret object comes out. So this is a sketch pen stamping kind of exercise, also a fun activity. The tracing continues, and here you have a palette of, say, 8 colors. They have to remember how the other 7 look, and then they have to color the objects based on the palette that they have. So some of the tracing practices there, and some boxes are blank so that they can write it on their own. We have these circling exercises, and then the tracing activities continue. So this is how the whole of the numbers book is structured. This is basically a card kind of paper and very easy to write, matte finish, and all the books are in color. Thank you. In this video, we are trying to explain addition and subtraction kits. Both are beginner kits. Both have 10 workbooks each. The addition kit is a little bit simpler, and subtraction kit is a little bit tougher, but both can be used for UKG, whereas the addition can be used for a little younger child as well, as we will see, and subtraction probably UKG and upwards. So let's get on with the addition set. So the addition set has 10 workbooks. We start with very simple additions, and we have attempted to cover, let's say, different angles from which a child might also be able to understand or approach addition. So we have very simple additions. We have the number of objects. We also cover other things like finger counting and group concepts. So from a very early stage, we have attempted to cover all the groups in such a way that the objects can be recognized in a group. For example, 5 is always in a certain formation, which the children tend to recognize easily. So we have made use of the group concept as well. And we have very simple addition. For example, this book is almost entirely +1, and eventually is a combination of counting as well as say addition. Helps them with both, and they understand +1 is also the next number in counting. And we have included some uh, finger symbols for different numbers, etc. The answer keys are also included. Then we have book 2. So book 2 is also +1. We have used a lot of objects, and we have essentially covered this similar, but we also have the number line towards the end, where let's say they hop single numbers and they understand the elementary concepts associated with the number line. Even the covers usually have some fun concept or exercises uh, which is relevant to their age. So this is basically, we move on to +2, the number of objects increases, and finger counting, number line, etc. is also there. Now this is kind of an exercise where they will be able to solve only if they are able to also solve addition, and we have a palette which goes on to the number. So they need to solve and then color. So this is also an activity. A similar exercise is basically a combination of addition, number line, etc. And we have kept introducing new formats in which they should be able to understand addition, but we have kept it very, very, very simple. This is book 5. So essentially we start with +3, but we also have some different match the following numbers, etc. exercises towards the end. Then we have, say, book 6, where we have +3, and then towards the end we also have these number line and match the following, etc. color the correct crown kind of events. Then we have book 7. Book 7 is +4, and basically covering different kind of concepts as mentioned earlier, very similar to the other book. Book 8 is again, say, this is, here it is a groups exercise, inside it is again +4. Then we have book 9, where it is +5. So a variety of exercises, a lot of coloring involved. And this is book 10, which is also +5. So essentially, let's say we have covered +1 to +5, and we have kept it very simple, full of activities, mostly let's say coloring and understanding some activities like match the following. So this is the addition book for you. Once the addition books are done, the kids can move over to subtractions book. Subtraction book is also a set of, say, 10 workbooks. We cover subtraction by elimination, which is basically crossing out the objects, which is essentially book 1. So let's say -2 will be crossing out 2 objects and then counting the objects and finding out the answer. So that is about, say, elimination. And then we have subtraction by groups. So first book is about, let's say, subtraction by elimination. Second book is also about subtraction by elimination. Keep crossing out objects, and we have a lot of practice for that, and count the remaining objects. Then we have introduced group concepts. So basically, let's say they understand a formation and they cross out objects in a group. So basically this is also to induce the concept of, let's say, understanding groups and counting faster in groups. So this is entirely a groups concept, and included with subtraction, they cross out the dots and write the answer by counting. This is a group of dots kind of concept, where they instantly recognize that this is a group of 5 and cross out the entire group. So this is a different set of exercise, an extension of the previous book, where they select a set of groups based on the number that they have to subtract, and then they count. Then we have finger counting exercises where again, let's say they understand how to denote a number on fingers. They cross out or they fold. They can do it on their hand as well, and they subtract numbers. So they kind of understand the finger counting symbol for that number as well, and they have their subtraction exercises as well. So kind of a combination of the two concepts that they need to know at this age. Number line, again, we have covered it in addition. Here they go backwards. So simple exercises on number line is covered in book 6. So we have a bit higher numbers here on the number line as compared to addition, because we believe that as the student goes forward, their knowledge level increases substantially, and the students should find the books interesting enough at their age. So then we have introduced simple word problems in book 7, where less than simple phrases are introduced, like less than, fewer than, decrease, minus, take away, etc. So we have several of these exercises, and they have to understand, and they can make use of, let's say, the objects or illustrations that is given alongside, and use any of the concepts that they learned earlier into this concept as well. So essentially, let's say some assistance is given in terms of, let's say, the objects where they can cross out and still find out the answer. So less than, minus, etc. There are some exercises which needs teacher assistance in terms of reading or, let's say, narrating the same by the parent, etc. But mostly, let's say, it is much larger font and fairly simple to understand as well as teach. All of our books, workbooks, are labeled very, very clearly in terms of their number, and so it is very easy to, let's say, handle one book at a time, both by parents as well as teachers. When we go to, let's say, book 8 is supposed to be tough word problems, where, let's say, we introduce things that they need to understand, and this definitely requires, let's say, parents or teachers guidance in terms of understanding the problem. And the idea is that they should understand the concepts verbally, and be able to solve the same problems that they had earlier, except that they are being told a problem or a story, and they are able to solve those problems. Stories is a concept where, let's say, we have taken the word problem and extended it to, let's say, another word problem, basically in the form of a story, where they are supposed to be solving 2 questions or 3 questions in a story. So basically this is a story format where, once upon a time kind of exercises where there is an event, and based on extensions of events, as the objects keep on decreasing, they have to, let's say, calculate and write the numbers. So these are essentially, let's say, stories. And then we have revision, where we collect all the we revise all the concepts that they had learned earlier, and we have similar exercises as compared to the last books. So that completes our subtraction book. It's a set of 10 books. All books are in color. So